Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cooper's Amputee Lifestyle, where I'm an amputee scuba diver, and I chase my dreams, hobbies, and adventures to combat PTSD and depression due to the traumatic loss of my leg. And I want to inspire you all to go out and chase your dreams, hobbies, and adventures to help combat any PTSD or depression that you may suffer from. Today I want to talk about a search we had done to help a family look for a missing loved one. I also want to go over some helpful resources to help anybody that could be feeling down, depressed, or hopeless. I'll also go over some of my own experiences that I have suffered due to the traumatic loss of my leg and how I was able to combat some of those feelings. I will also put some helpful resources and links down in the description below so you guys can look and be able to browse those resources and share them with anybody that may help them. In mid-December of 2022, my name and Sam's name was tagged in a discussion involving a missing teen who is believed to be in a lake down in Thurston County. I reached out to a person hosting the discussion and told her to give me a call. We spoke briefly, and she had told me about how her son was also missing and that she was on this Facebook page spreading awareness in hopes of finding other missing people along with her missing son. After speaking with her, I was able to gather a little bit of information, and I asked her if she could also have the family of the missing teen give me a call so I can gather some information. The mother was able to call me, and we went over some details of her missing son. Everything from the description of him and the clothes he's wearing to the lake, the details about the lake, the access points of the lake, the time of day, anything that could help us in this search. We also discussed what other searchers have done and during the time that they arrived to assist on this mission. Other searchers reported that the visibility was very terrible in this lake. We were expecting anything from a 3 to 5 foot visibility, maybe 8 feet if we were lucky. Diving in low visibility in that lake would definitely be nighttime conditions even though you were diving in the daytime. Diving in low visibility sounded like it was going to be our most challenging part of this search. We wouldn't be able to see as far, so we would only be able to see 3 to 5 feet away from us as we're searching. This is going to be much like searching for a needle in a haystack. A surface temp was taken on one of the days that we ended up searching, and it read 40 degrees. That would bring a lot of hypothermia dangers to anyone searching in this lake. The bottom of this lake has a very soft, like mud sediment. With any luck, the soft mud will be hard clay underneath it, stopping the soft mud from concealing anything on the bottom of this lake. We did have a search area in mind, a PLS, which is a point last seen, that was pointing us in a couple of different positions on this lake. We really believed he was in this lake and could be stuck in a particular area in the mud. Now we just have to be able to reach out and gather some resources so we can conduct a really good search and eliminate some search area and hopefully bring this family some answers and closure. The family had a small boat and they had been doing some scanning on the lake previous to our conversation. The boat they had is a very valuable boat for boat support to help insert divers and dog handlers in certain areas of the lake. We also had Sam the Adventure Man, who has his inflatable boat with side scan capabilities. Lee Hines, who had been in contact with the family and another SAR dive team in the area, was going to be there as shore support and assisting Sam with scanning the lake. Lee was also able to talk to the SAR team and discussed another training that they could also host there in hopes of finding our missing loved one that we are searching for. I also asked Lee if he could talk to them to request dog handlers to come out to scent discriminate the lake again. I have seen dogs work alongside us on boats and onshore. I've seen how amazing that they can operate and how they can sniff out the scent of humans. I'm a true believer of dog handlers and I have even worked with them, assisting them on some of their trainings. I also got Curtis Dart and one of his helpers, Jim, to show up with underwater ROVs to help extend our search area where we weren't going to be putting any divers, so they could also conduct some search and help us eliminate that search area. In the events that Curtis or Jim ended up finding our missing loved one with an ROV, all we would have to do is dive down and follow the Kevlar tether all the way down to our missing person so we can mark his position and notify authorities for the recovery. And finally, the divers would be myself, Nate, and Greg on the first day, and myself and Jim Miner on the second day. All of these divers who have attended the searches have a great deal of training and experience, and even in the same conditions and dangers that this lake presents to us. After lining up our resources, I was able to speak with the family, letting them know we would be searching on the weekends and type of resources we would be using in our search for their son. I was so glad to see a few of the members from the local SAR dog teams showed up with 2 dogs. The father was out there on his boat taking 1 dog handle at a time. They were searching a particular area. It was a good sign that they were narrowed down to a particular area. I was explained by one of the dog handlers that the freezing temperatures was not helping narrow down and pinpoint exactly where the scent was coming from, but it gave us a general area where to search, where the scent happened to be surfacing and pooling in certain areas and moving in a direction. That was a benefit to us, so we could dive in and start searching that area instead of searching randomly in different parts of the lake. The dog handler also explained to me that during warmer temps, it's actually easier for the dogs to actually pinpoint exact areas where the scent is surfacing or pooling or gathering in certain areas of water. At this time, Sam the Adventure Man is on his boat with Lee scanning the bottom of the lake for any obvious signs that could lead us to the missing loved one. Sam did notice a couple of areas of interest and did mark one of those areas. Curtis and Jim were given 2 different areas to search with their underwater ROVs and were separated between a couple of different docks side by side. They were conducting an arc pattern, searching similar to how scuba divers search, and then they have a runtime of roughly an hour with their batteries for the underwater ROVs. So Nate, Greg, and myself put on all of our scuba gear and climbed onto the father's boat to go dive a general area where the dogs were alerting us on. Nate and myself dove off the boat, and Greg was on the boat as our safety diver in case any of us had any issues. He could jump in to assist. As Nate and I do our first dive in this lake, you can tell that it's pretty much nighttime conditions, and there's a lot of soft sediment on the bottom. The slightest movement can kick up and stir the sediment, so you have to be just above the bottom to where you're not going to stir it up and fog everything out. We're using our flashlights to just kind of sweep left and right. Nate's on my left and I'm on his right, and with each of us seeing about 5 feet visibility, we can space ourselves apart to where, I can look 5 feet to my right, 5 feet to my left, and I see him, and he can look 5 feet to his left and 5 feet to his right to see me. So we can cover roughly a 15-foot wide path as we are following our compass heading, searching in this lake. In the middle of this lake, it's pretty barren. I didn't see any logs or stumps. A lot of the times we would come across a piece of garbage, like a pop can or a golf ball or some random thing. And the flashlight, the light reflecting off that object would reflect back towards us, piquing our interest, moving closer to investigate or inspect what the light is reflecting off of. At times we were slowing down to look at something or moving over to get a better look at what we were coming across. One time we slowed down and I put my arm inside the soft sediment, and it kept going, and I didn't feel any hard objects. And another time I reached in and I felt like a tree branch. So we were very worried that our missing loved one that we were looking for could have been consumed by the soft sediment if they were negatively buoyant. Nate ended up finding a paddle that goes to a paddleboard where you stand and you paddle from the standing position on the paddleboard. He ended up sticking it in the mud a few feet and didn't feel any soft or harder packed mud. It was all soft sediment. Later, we ended up surfacing, handing it up to the father who was operating the boat, just telling them to hold on to it, see if they recognize it or anything. But it could have been just a random paddle that somebody had lost, and it sunk in the water. After completing that dive on the first day, everybody was really cold being in the water. So the next day, we come out, and I'm diving on a buoy that Sam had marked the day before. He ended up scanning some interesting objects, wanted me to go down and check this dive. Nate did go down. He had a little bit more air than me, so he did go down and check one area in front of the buoy. Did not come across anything. So I'm going to do an expanding circle once I go all the way down this buoy and see what I can find. To give you an idea what our depth has been, these 2 days of searching, it's been about 35 to 45 feet in depth. So an expanding circle search pattern is basically me taking my reel with my line on it and I'm attaching it to a fixed position or a person that's going to be my tender. Now I'm doing a solo dive, so I'm going to attach the end of my reel to this line that's attached to this buoy. And every time I'm going to do a circle, once I hit north, I'm going to extend it another 5 feet because that's pretty much what I could see. And that's going to be roughly the size of our missing loved one that we are looking for. So I don't want to extend it out too much, and I don't want to extend it out very little. So I just judge how much I extend by what size of the missing person we are looking for and our visibility in the water conditions we're facing. So I have some pretty decent lights that are fairly inexpensive to go diving in these conditions to help me search. These are Orca Torch dive lights that they ended up sending me, and these are great lights. They're definitely helping me search. I'm using two at the same time. Instead of waving the light left and right, I have a light in each hand, and I'm kind of having one point to the right, one point to the left, and then that way I'm just kind of scanning left and right as I'm moving along my search pattern to look. You can see that any light that hits something in the water, it's reflecting, bouncing back at me, piquing my interest. While conducting my expanding circle, I came across a lawn chair, random bits of garbage, bottles, cans, golf balls, another paddle, big tree branch, just random things that you would see kind of fly off a dock if the wind blew it off, or something that gets discarded by people at the lake. Did not come across anything that really piqued my interest other than those random bits of garbage. About halfway through the dive, closer to 1700 psi to 1500 psi, one of my lights, the battery, is dead, and so I'm down to one light. So that's a good time to start wrapping up my line and going back to the buoy to start my ascent. At that point, my hands were so cold they were burning. And, I found it a little harder to operate my reel. So it was a good time to wrap up that dive and start heading up and getting out of the water to warm up. During this time, Jim Miner's in the water and he is diving further west of my position. He ends up doing a dive, gets out, warms up by the heater, and switches out his tank and goes back in and does another dive. So he ended up actually doing 2 dives that day, despite the cold temperatures. The following day, the local SAR dive team was out conducting their training in this area in hopes of finding our missing loved one. At the end of their training, they did not have any luck. 2 days later, our prayers were answered. Our missing loved one surfaced, and the local authorities were contacted, and they came out to complete the recovery. Now the family can have their son back, have closure, and celebrate his life. Some of the things that we can kind of learn and take away from assisting this family was we were able to open up some connections and networks with other resources to be able to expand and have more tools and resources to assisting families on our off time, looking and trying to find the locations of their missing loved ones for them to have closure again. Now, I'm not an expert when it comes to depression or even PTSD, but I can tell you when I lost my leg, I was experiencing signs of depression. I didn't have a choice. I woke up in a hospital bed and I traumatically lost my leg, and I was stuck in that hospital bed for 3.5 months learning how to walk again. I felt hopelessness. I felt like there was no end goal. I didn't really have any ambitions. I just felt like I was just trapped in a body that was disabled and no longer mobile. I'm going to go over some information that I've found that I'd like to share with you all, and I'll have the links listed below, and I'll share some of my own experiences with some of these methods of treating depression. One of the signs of depression could be your low mood, maybe feeling down from time to time, and it's just not going away. Sometimes people with depression describe themselves as feeling numb, maybe flatlined. They're having some difficulty having some emotion, being able to respond with good or bad. Another symptom will be the loss of interest or pleasure in things they once enjoyed. Maybe they enjoyed playing video games or going out with friends, but now they don't want to. They want to just bottle themselves up and stay home. Another sign could be feeling of guilt, hopelessness, or worthlessness. Many people with depression can feel an overwhelming guilt about past actions or events, or even feel guilty about being depressed itself. You might also experience low self-esteem, self-loathing. You may also feel a bit of hopelessness, like there's nothing you can do to make anything better. You may be feeling a decreased energy level, maybe fatigued. Many people may experience just the lack of energy where they just need to sleep, and they sleep for excessive amounts of time. Or they may not be getting any sleep at all. They may be troubled and tossing and turning. Something is on their mind affecting them, and they just can't fall to sleep. It's a difficulty of concentrating, remembering, making decisions. There might be some restlessness or irritability. Anything just kind of makes you angry, sets you off. You know, you can't control these emotions, and you want things to be happy, but you're just upset and they're not going the way they want to go. And the most important one is you may have suicidal thoughts or attempts. Self-harm is always a big one. Trying to relieve the pain, trying to find an easy way out. And also, you're trying to escape reality by medicating yourself with narcotics or alcohol. Now, aside from seeking professional help with a doctor and maybe having something prescribed, I'm going to go over some natural ways of treating depression, or ways that you can help family or friends that are experiencing depression treat and combat depression. You can end up getting into a sort of routine, and whether that would be, you know, waking up, going for a walk, maybe having lunch with a friend, going down to do things that you enjoy, building some sort of schedule that helps you keep busy and your mind active. Exercise, it gives you a temporarily boost of feel-good chemicals called endorphins. Now, I really enjoyed when I was able to go to the gym 4 days a week, getting on the treadmill, then lifting weights. It really made me feel good, something that I could look forward to. Eating healthy is another good one. Cutting out all the garbage that you would intake, like soda, sugar, carbs. Trying to eat healthy, making you feel better about yourself, having your body feel better about itself. Getting enough sleep. You do get anxious and you end up feeling really drained when you're not getting enough sleep. You have these little nervous twitches. Getting enough sleep will definitely help your body heal and recharge and feel better the following day. Challenging negative thoughts. Being able to talk to yourself and say, no, there's no point in having these hopelessness and these thoughts of self-harm or thoughts of no end. These basically are demons that you're going to be fighting. Think positive, stay positive, be optimistic, set some goals for yourself. You know, I told myself, you know, when I ended up starting to run and be able to walk more properly with an artificial limb, and I told myself I wanted to go back into the fire department. I told myself that after I learned how to scuba dive, I want to go back into search and rescue. I set goals for myself to be able to keep moving forward and have ambitions in life. Do something new. You may have created some sort of routine, getting up, going to school, going to the gym, you know, having some fun with friends on the weekends. But you can also create something new, add something new to your life. You know, for me, I was able to say, okay, I'm doing all right. I'm able to get around. I'm going to school. I'm going to the gym. But now I want to do a new challenge, go back into the fire department, apply myself, and be able to trace some sort of dream or career where I can look back and look at all of I've accomplished in being successful in life. Avoid self-medicating with narcotics or even alcohol. This goes hand in hand with being healthy and exercise. Try to have some fun. When you challenge yourself, try something that you will enjoy, something that you want to do. For me, it's scuba diving and expanding my scuba diving career with training and experience, traveling, doing all these activities where I'm able to go down underwater, complete a task, or capture some amazing marine life to share with you all. And another way to combat depression is to get a dog, a pet, somebody that you can enjoy being with, somebody that is always happy, somebody that you look forward to coming home every day and spending time with. Look at this dog. Look how happy he is. I just can't wait to get home every day to see this face. After losing my leg, it was crazy dealing with depression. I've never experienced anything like it before. Instead of seeking a doctor and getting medicated for it, I ended up finding out what was going to work for me, because everybody deals with it differently. I had friends and family that were able to help me with my depression of losing my leg. I was airsofting, spending time camping with them in the summer, having fun, going out, making some new friends. And then eventually I moved on and I was pursuing my academic goals, exercising, going into the fire department, becoming a scuba diver, and going back into search and rescue. And then finally, going into a career that I dreamed of. I was able to combat depression, and I owe it all to the thanks of my friends and family, and I had their support. So if you find that somebody or yourself is suffering from depression, try to combat it. Try to take some of these goals, do some research on it, pull them in, get them out and having fun, doing an activity. Find something that you enjoy and do and having an activity. My whole YouTube channel is about how I'm combating depression and PTSD, because every day I wake up and I'm reminded that I have one leg. Believe it or not, my life feels amazing and great right now. I feel like I'm in a better place right now than before I lost my leg. I would love to have my leg back and be able to have two legs again, but having a prosthetic leg, that is the new me. And I love it. It has helped define me of who I am, and it has been a major challenge for me that I can overcome those challenges and keep pushing forward. We believe in you. If you experience any signs of depression, combat it. Get help. Talk to friends and family. We believe in you. Don't do anything drastic. Don't harm yourself. There are people out there that will love you and miss you if you're gone. They won't be able to get you back. So thank you everybody for watching. Really appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next episode.